Welcome to the 7 Minutes to Better Selling podcast. I'm your host, Colin Lake, president and founder of Developing the Next Leaders. Alan and I actually met at an event called 2929. It was an event that helped, takes you to a mountain and has you climb the equivalent of Mount Everest on a smaller mountain. Just keep going up and down the mountain. Sounds senseless, but it was absolutely amazing. And I run into this guy, Alan Stein. I'm like, boy, I've got to know more about this guy. Tells a bunch of great stories, and we've been connected ever since. So, Alan Stein, welcome to the show.
It's so great to be with you, Colin. You're one of my all-time favorite human beings, and anytime we interact, I always leave a better person for it. So it's nice to be with you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, my man. All right, so Alan Stein is an author, and the book's right behind him. If he slides a little bit, you'll see Raise the Game. That's his book, which is an amazing book. I also own that, and I have read it, and have taken many of the things that he shares and put them into my life. And he's the owner of a powerful brand, and that brand is Alan Stein Jr. So he has a lot to teach us, and we have a lot to learn from Alan. So, Alan, I'm going to set up this question and get it right over to you. So I'm interested in your perspective on how we can help folks get better at what they're doing, which is serve their clients in a way that they can't get simply by just looking at on the internet. All right. So that in mind, if you would, please tell some people or tell us some more about you and how you get to this wonderful position that you're in today.
Well, I think the most important thing to know is that basketball was my first identifiable passion. And I fell in love with the game at 5 years old. And here 40 years later, basketball is still a major pillar in my life. And the reason I share that is with immense gratitude for the fact that I've been able to make a living and make a life around something that I've been really passionate about. And I've been able to spend my entire life in what I call my strength zone, which is the intersection between something I've always been pretty good at and something that I've always really loved to do. And for most of my life, that was playing and coaching basketball. But over these last 5 years, that strength zone transitioned into, as you said, keynote speaking and writing. So I'm very thankful to get to do work that I consider meaningful and that, just like sales professionals, is in service of other people. That's to me what's most important.
It's awesome. Now, how have you built the brand? Like, the brand is you, the business is you. How have you done such a nice job at getting that brand to so many people? Like, people know who you are. You're on the speaking circuit, but you had to get yourself to that place. How did you do that?
I learned a very powerful lesson from the late, great Kobe Bryant back in 2007. And he taught me, and this was what he said verbatim. He said, the best never get bored with the basics. And as obvious as that may sound to folks listening and watching right now, that was a life-changing moment for me. See, in that moment, I realized that just because something is basic, it doesn't mean that it's easy. Those aren't synonyms, and yet people often use those words interchangeably. So I've put an immense focus since that day on working towards mastery of the basics and embracing the fundamentals. So whether it's trying to become a more polished speaker or trying to write another book or even being a parent to my 3 children, I focus on the basics and the fundamentals, and I don't deviate from those. I don't make things any more complicated than they need to be. I believe complexity undermines performance. Complexity undermines execution. So I love simplicity. And every year that I spend on this earth, I actually try to simplify my life and try to take things away that are potential distractions. I'm not looking to add anything else to my plate. I'm looking to move towards hopefully more enlightenment, which means removing of things that are getting in the way.
Love that. Jeez, I love that answer. Boy, there was some power thoughts in there. Your strength zone, like what you're good at and what you love, and putting those things together and operating that is awesome. Give us one basic, will you? Like, what's a basic you did really, really well to help build the brand or get you to where you are today?
One of the most basic characteristics that served me really well in my life is I'm incredibly observant. I go through life with open ears and open eyes, and I'm always trying to learn from people that are a little bit ahead of me in a specific area. And I also am not afraid to step outside of my general area to learn from others. One of the best examples I can give you, as someone that's aspiring to be a world-class keynote speaker, there are 2 other art forms that I study religiously. I study stand-up comedy and I study hip hop. Both are forms of art forms of spoken word. And I can learn so much from each of those different genres on timing and delivery and physicality and rhythm and tonality. And I think if I can adopt some of the principles from both of those different art forms it will allow me to be a better keynote speaker.
Boy, that's awesome. One of the themes that we've picked up in doing this podcast is like that observant piece, like the 2 ears, 1 mouth, like that you use them according, like there's lots of thoughts around there, but it's harder to do. But that observant thing is like, can you just like be in the moment when you're doing something versus like, like trying to get up on stage and say, let me show you how to do it better. Just being and learning from it. Great thought. Let me ask you this. So from a sales perspective, and you have a great deal of experience selling your book, selling your services, selling your value, like what would you say would be the biggest opportunity that a salesperson has today in like today's world? I'm talking like October 2021. Like what's one of the great opportunities they have, and maybe that they have and they're missing, or that we have and that we're missing?
The best opportunity they have right now is to create a deep connection with their prospects or their clients or their customers, or whatever the terminology is that they use, is to really deepen that connection. And you do that by giving people your full attention in the present moment, which you just mentioned so insightfully, and by being a world-class listener. And people want to do business with folks they know, like, and trust, they believe in. And it all comes back to that connection. When you can create that, and there's the lean into it by giving folks your full attention in the present moment and being curious and asking insightful questions.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to tell people about how to get a hold of you and how to get connected with you in just a second. I just want to dive into, or I mean, not dive into, but like magnify or spotlight the point. Like quotas are vital to like sales. You have to have quotas, you have to have goals and things like that. Yes. But they can and will erode connection if that's what you're focused on. That is so powerful, gang, that we're talking with here. So good, Alan. Back to you.
I just wanted to add one quick thing to that, because you're 100% right. There is nothing wrong with having a goal, nothing wrong with a quota, nothing wrong with having a guiding North Star. The key is, once you've established that quota, is not being focused on it. Instead of being outcome focused, get process focused. That if you do those things on a regular basis, the quota will just take care of itself.
That's awesome. All right, Alan, tell everyone where to find you, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
They can find me very easily at alansteinjr.com or strongerteam.com. You can find Raise Your Game anywhere they sell books, but Amazon tends to be most people's preference these days.
Well, Alan Stein, wonderful, great lessons, great pearls of wisdom. Good selling, everyone.